Is that enough of a stupid
Live.
look?
Morning, everybody.
Oh, we're live. Okay. I
Yeah.
was supposed to have a stupid look in my face until we went live because we got a different control room protocol going on today. By instated by someone who shall remain nameless, as he does, and he only goes by initials that have characters in them that are actually anyway. Hey everybody, it's Dan, and hey, I'm back from god crazy around the world travel and getting jet lagged and still jet lagged. Actually, it's quite interesting what happens when you get older. You just like you think you're the same but you're not, and it takes you a lot longer to do the same stuff that it took you less time to do, and that is getting over jet lag. So I'm still kind of screwed up from that, but aside from that, glad to be back doing another AMA. Um yeah yeah, good stuff. Lots of stuff happened. Lots of progress. We got a lot of cool things happening. Once again, Rosen. We've been pushing ahead with Rosen. So the catalyst vote is nearly complete. Complete. So we should know the fate of our proposal very shortly, but however, I do believe that it's going to do well. It's pretty popular and is doing pretty well in the stats. Hopefully that will be all good and we'll be able to push through with deployment of Rosen, which is what everybody's been waiting for. So yeah, that's the jet lag, waiting about. On other fronts, just again pushing ahead with random development, various things. We got Winter Protocol that's being developed again, or actually has been developed, and is now being iterated through different upgrades and whatnot. So that's also going to be available very shortly for the community, because again, in the spirit of Ergo, it is open source. It will be open source. It is not open source yet. It will be open source. So there's going to be something really cool for the community, I believe. And yeah, I don't think we have a traceability protocol in our arsenal, do we, Joe?
Oh, that's going to be the first.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and not just traceability, tokenization and traceability. So very cool stuff. I'm really excited about being able to bring this to the community. And of course, this couldn't have been done without our friends MG Pi and uh you know okay, so I screw up his initials all the time because for some reason when I just kind of like got into the ecosystem and I saw his initials, I thought it was LGD, like legitimate.
Oh, different depth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm like, oh, no. But our friend Luca is the mastermind of the Winter Protocol, along with MG Pi, and yeah, good stuff happening. Other than that, so the progress with the education course is slower than I would like it to be. We are waiting on the university to kind of straighten some things out. Hopefully, that will still start with semester 1 of next year. But we will have more updates on that as they come in. How do you say that in news? We'll have more on that as updates come in, or as
Yeah,
news.
that's the story breaks or something like
This,
that.
this yeah, exactly, as the story breaks. So yeah, that's it from me. What about you, Joe? What you been up to?
Oh, on the community side, one of the big announcements this week was about Ergo Hack 7. That's going to be taking place October 13th, 14th, 15th. Looks like the name of that is going to be the future of finance, ways of adoption. I'm pretty excited about that. Every time we have an Ergo hack, it seems like kind of the base infrastructure tooling and available open source frameworks out there are more advanced. And so usually, that allows people to bootstrap more complex, interesting projects, right? So, if we kind of looked at the progression of Ergo hack, I think it's a pretty good reflection of advancements in the ecosystem itself. So that's going to be pretty exciting to see. I know that this morning the Bitpanda announcement came out. Those of you that missed that, I believe it's on Twitter and across different social channels. I believe there's going to be an AMA, some additional information about Ergo released, and then that listing is going to go live. We did have a couple of other AMAs this last week. I know Alex and I did one with StealthX. That recording is out there somewhere. We also did one with Zengate regarding the Rosen proposal, talking about potential benefits there. We did have the dev update yesterday, which means that we'll kind of create a video going through the latest and greatest in the Ergo ecosystem, and that usually comes out Sunday. I guess we have to give a shout out to Crux because their MVP launched, and so it's really nice to see that type of product come together. Just a lot going on the project side in the ecosystem. It's exciting to see.
So Crux MVP launched, huh? I know this other MVP that launched as well. If we're speaking of MVP,
yeah, you wanna get into that? That was a nice event.
I don't want to I don't want to turn this into another Zengate space. We got enough of those, but yeah, just for those of you that did not know, we launched Palmyra MVP last so not the past Saturday, but the Saturday before that at Rare Evo. And so we did our first transaction live. Actually, we did our first sale live, and so we minted the first official Ergo traceability NFT again live. And so that's in there. And so now we're moving towards the next iteration of the protocol, and already have new interest, new orders in. And so again, it's right now the process is somewhat bespoke. So we're we're doing a lot of white gloving for buyers right now. But long story short, Ergo is being used for traceability and tokenization now. We're using the Winter Protocol and the Palmyra platform. So that's the MVP, and we plan to bring a lot more use to the platform once the volume picks up.
That's awesome. Looks like we have a question for you. How's Palmyra going? How many orders? What does growth look like? Can you share some insight?
Sure. So we have several orders in. So several orders are being lined up, I guess. So it's right now what we're doing is we're integrating some payment rails, and so the order process is, since it's a B2, right now the platform is B2B, right? Right now there's the main function is spot buying and selling, and the UI and the UX of the platform is B2B. So when specifically teas being bought B2B from, say, a producer to, say, a coffee shop, right, or a tea shop, they don't just blindly buy it. There's a process where they order samples. So they get samples of the tea, they sample the different types of teas, and then they decide, okay, so this is the one that I want to buy, and so they buy this tea, or they buy these teas. Even with teas that they already bought before, so if it's a specific type, they still want to taste the tea. So we have several orders, so requests for samples, and so already people looking, asking about quantities. And so, yeah, it's in fact, these started coming in last Sunday. So basically a little bit more than a week after launch, we started getting several new orders in. We also got a new sign up for the Palmyra Pioneers from Indonesia. And so this actually came completely from just word to mouth. I think maybe some of you saw that on Twitter. I posted about that, but yeah, this came completely word to mouth. We obviously we contacted the person after they contacted us, and so we're getting them set up. But yeah, this is because of the community. The community apparently spread the word far and wide enough for somebody from a completely different jurisdiction to be interested and would like to work with the platform. So that is awesome. And I'd like to thank the community once again for that. Let's see, what is the roadmap from now? So right now, as far as the main platform, again, like I said, we're working on payment rails integration. We're working on a more comprehensive logistics integration. So right now, again, we have more of like a hard-coded rate card, but in the next iteration, we're actually integrating with the DHL and FedEx APIs to have a dynamic calculator for shipping. And so this is actually, I know it might sound a little boring Web3 wise, but it's actually really important, because one of the main issues that we're solving for the producers and the buyers right now is logistics. Because believe it or not, a lot of these emerging economies like Sri Lanka are, well, I guess, lack of a better word, suffer from lack of access, lack of logistics access, lack of payments access. Even for legacy payment systems, we had to go through several major players, and we actually had to search out and find who can do remittances to Sri Lanka. We do have interest from some of the producers to do remittances in stables, but it also needs to happen, obviously, on all different types of remittances. So not everybody's ready to take crypto. So you want to be able to do credit card, you want to be able to do bank transfer, and yeah, even with that, it is just difficult to get money into Sri Lanka. And so this is another problem that we are solving right now. So we're actually in the process of going through KYB with a payment rail provider, so that will actually increase accessibility for producers and for the buyers to be able to just seamlessly get this stuff. You would think is just like, oh, it's tea. How difficult can it be? It's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult. And just by solving these issues, you get users on the platform. And so one of the other ideas behind Palmyra is this abstraction of Web3 technologies. And this is what I think is going to have to be our approach to get the mainstream to use Ergo tech and blockchain tech. I mean, for example, of course, the first transaction, we explain to them, okay, so this is an NFT that you're creating, and this is going to be tokenizing an asset, and this is on the Ergo platform, and this is your NFT Explorer. But they really don't need to know that. It's been abstracted, right? They don't need to know that it's an NFT. All they need to know that it's a digital representation of what they purchased. Mm-hmm. And now it is actually, it's a store of value. It's a transfer of value, and it can create a transfer of value from them to their customer or to somebody else. And in essence, I mean, that's really the kind of user experience I believe we should focus on for the mainstream, because not everybody's going to be interested in the tech. Not everybody's going to deep dive into this stuff, right? If we're talking about mainstream, right? Yeah, and so this is how we get people to use this tech, right? We got others that are going to be using the tech without really knowing that they're using the tech. Why? Because they don't really need to know that they're using the tech. They just know that it makes their business better and easier, and that's what it will do. And all the meanwhile, under the hood, it's running Ergo.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's an important point long term in terms of let's say pushing for adoption with the general public is, it does need to kind of bury the complexity, um, to where, if you could look at email as an example, nobody really in the general public side really understands, what's happening on the back end. They just know you hit send and something happens, right?
right, exactly. Exactly, and it's just been up, TCP/IP and POP3 and all this stuff has been abstracted so much from the user side right now, even more than it was 10, 15 years ago, right? Even setting up your email is, I mean, back in the day, setting up your email with like Outlook or whatever, you had to go through all these settings and this and that and this,
At your
and I think you
ports.
still, yeah, like all this stuff. And I mean, there's still applications out there that do that, right? Like Thunderbird and all these, and you can do that. And this is exactly what we were thinking with Palmyra. So if you want to have a Web3 experience, you can. It's not abstracted, where it's just completely hidden. So you can have your Web3 experience if you want to, but you don't have to. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, if you think about it, what are the biggest applications for email right now? See, Gmail, right? How many times do you go through settings on Gmail? I mean, it's just, they're like on your phone, on your laptop, or whatever. You just log in and it just works, right? It just does it. You don't have to go through all this stuff. Even on separate email applications, you don't have to go through all this Gmail setup with incoming server, outgoing server, yada 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 yada. You don't have to do that. Just say, okay, I'm using Gmail, and it just sets it all up by itself, right?
Mm.
And this is what we need for mass adoption. This is what we need, and I think it's also just to some people, it's almost a bittersweet, right? Because we're so excited about the tech, and we're so excited about like what it can really do, and then when the average person goes like, all right, so yeah, so this is my tea, cool. You're like, come on, but there's such cool tech behind it. But
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't care. I mean,
yeah, they don't.
there's so much complexity that's buried, when it comes to technology and the user experience. You could look at something like your cell phone, whether it's the data network that you're connected to or the amount of calls different applications are making. Users don't care. They just want it to work.
Right, right. So yeah, and it doesn't mean that it has to be across the board like that, right? You can have a more Web3 intensive, more deep dive blockchain intensive applications as well. There is no rules about that. No, 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 no. It all has to be really, really easy, point and click, drag and drop. You can't throw any of this, hardcore stuff at people. Yeah, yes, you can. It's up to you. However, statistically, mass adoption will happen when the UX is easier and smoother and just to the point of to what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just great to see that happening with Palmyra. Like I said, it is running Ergo, right? It's actually not running Cardano just yet. It will be, but it is running Ergo right now. And so the assets are being minted on Ergo. Transactions are being done on Ergo. The average user doesn't know that it's on Ergo, and they don't need to know. And we're not going to tell them unless they ask. Unless it's like, oh yeah, you got blockchain. What blockchain are you using? Well, yeah, we're going to say we're using Ergo. Yeah, but it's just abstracted away for a reason, and it's working. It's working. I mean, I get this. I get this quite a bit in the Cardano ecosystem, where people are just saying, "Oh, we got people turning away because or they're talking about, they're mostly talking about VCs and investments, but saying, we got people turning away because when we say Cardano, they just run for the hills because Cardano was so anti-VC and yada yada yada." And I said, well, then you're just talking to the wrong VCs. You're obviously talking to crypto VCs, and crypto VCs have an agenda. Pretty much all of them have an agenda. That they have an agenda to promote the L1 that they're most invested in. And so that is why you're getting that with your non-crypto VC, with the VC that is going to be focused on the product more than going to be focused on the blockchain or any kind of fund. You're not going to run into that because you're not talking about it. You're talking about the platform itself. You're not talking about, oh, which blockchain is it running?
No.
It's kind of like it's kind of like you going and selling I don't know, an online marketplace, and then the VC getting's like, oh, well, what internet provider are you using? Oh, you're using GoDaddy. Oh, no, we don't do GoDaddy. No. It's like that. If you put yourself, if you kind of concentrate on utility versus the tech rails, you take yourself out of that silo of that you're trapped in with these with people who are obsessed over this blockchain over that blockchain. And I think that is the way to go. That is definitely the way to go forward and the way to get traction.
I would agree. There's a lot of VCs that are just interested in Ponzi-nomics. No
Yeah,
other.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, that's just a specific type of VC. This is not somebody who this is not like an across the board thing. I mean, all of them, of course, have their own agenda, right? They have their own interests, they have their own agenda, but they're not all out there to. Not all funds, not all investors are out there to shill their own favorite L1. Some of them don't even care. Some of them don't even know. So it's you have to kind of expose yourself to that world.
So you want to get it to the questions, Dan?
Yeah, let's get into some more questions here.
I hear you're both going to be at Vegas at the end of the month. What's there and what do you hope to accomplish?
Okay. All right. So, yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're going to be in Vegas at the end of the month at NFTXLV. Now, I wanted to clarify something. So I think some people, they look at the name and they think, oh, it's all about NFTs. It's not just all about NFTs. It's all about projects, right? So different projects in different ecosystems. NFT XLV is just part of the branding, but it's not exclusive to NFTs. This is everything across the board that's going to be there. There's going to be a cross-chain event. It's being hosted by BuffyBot, Marco, and Adam Dean, the same guys that hosted CNFTCon last year. And this is a great place to really promote Ergo, because again, there's going to be cross-chain, but we're still going to have a lot of friendlies there. We're going to have quite a bit of the Cardano community there. And so, the Cardano community, as you know, are very, very supportive of Ergo. Plus, we're going to have new faces, so we can have new people to expose to Ergo that are oriented in Web3. And so what we're going to be doing is, so of course, Zengate is going to be representing Ergo over there. And so we also have Rosenbridge being represented there. So we're going to have Rosen info. We're going to have, we're going to figure out some sort of demo so that the attendees, they can get more, get more involved in Rosen, and by that time we'll know the fate of the proposals, and I think is going to be a positive thing. So we're basically going to be able to kind of push ahead and really engage with some of the SPOs that are going to participate in the pilot program for Rosen. So again, that's going to be really big. I think that Rosen is going to be separately represented as its own project at this conference. It's a great conference to kind of for Rosen to come out and show itself. And so we're also hoping to represent the Sigmanauts, Quality Extreme QX parentheses, I believe, has been talking to the Sigmanauts about coming in as part of the NFTXLV group. I highly suggest you do that. I would love to have representation there from the Sigmanauts, because I think that it is very important to show how true decentralization works. Because, everybody and their mother is going to be there with, oh, well, we are from this blockchain and this blockchain's foundation, and this blockchain's R&D arm, right? So like say Cardano is going to be there. The Cardano Foundation is going to be there, and IOG is going to be there. Then other chains are probably going to do the same. I don't know. VeChain is coming out there. I'm not sure if they're going to bring their foundation, but it's probably going to be just the VeChain Foundation. With us, I guess when Joe comes out there, the Ergo Foundation will be represented, but it'll be just cool to show that, hey, we got a fully community-run consortium that is its own thing, right? It's got its own list of action items. It's got its own agenda. It's got its own roadmap. I mean, of course, it's synergistic with the roadmap of Ergo, obviously, but it's its own thing. It's not a foundation. It is truly a community organization, and it's working, right? You got your own budget, you got your own initiatives, and I just think it's important to show that this kind of thing is possible and it works, and Ergo has it. So yeah, like I said, I really hope that the Sigmanauts are going to be out there represented, and so that we can potentially onboard more Sigmanauts from the convention. I think we can, and I think we will. So yeah, that's I mean, what are you going to be doing there, Joe? Are you going to be doing any trips to the Bellagio or what?
Let's see. I'm gonna try to get a nice breakfast buffet. Maybe hit a royal flush, play some video poker. I really like this conference versus others because the barrier of entry is lower, right? And so whenever you get more people from the general public, it's more interesting, in my opinion, because you get a more diverse set of opinions, right? Sometimes crypto conferences are a bit too inclusive, right? To where everybody's already doing something or building something or involved in the crypto space, and maybe that's useful for like making contacts and networking and that kind of stuff. But actually having like general users there is always a lot more interesting for me. I kind of try to say, oh, I'm just somebody in the Ergo ecosystem, and have a person-to-person conversation. Talk to them about what they think about blockchain, see where kind of the general consensus beliefs, ideas are at. And kind of the average user. So yeah, last time, there's quite a few miners that actually came through, which kind of surprised me, just because, last time it was more of an NFT focused conference. So I enjoy that, having kind of the average user there, general person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the reasons why they say NFTs because, face it, most of the projects out there are NFT projects. I mean, versus other projects, other blockchain projects. I mean,
Yeah.
how many NFT projects you have per how many other non-NFT projects? I mean, exponentially, you got a lot more NFT projects. So that's why you got a lot of these NFT guys out there, because that is just, just proportionately much more than all the other guys. But as Joe said, even in the last one, even though it was very NFT focused, we had a very diverse audience. And we really got a chance to, first of all, meet Ergonauts that were already there, and plus miners, and plus get new people into the ecosystem, expose new people into the ecosystem, kind of give them the opportunity to really, I mean, they've heard about it, right? Even some Cardano people, they've heard about Ergo, but they haven't really gotten into it. They haven't really dabbled. They're like, oh yeah, okay, Ergo, yeah, I heard about you guys. And I know we onboarded a bunch of people like that because we were there, we were representing, and we could just sit down and talk to them. And this time it's just going to be even bigger and better, because last time it was just Zengate and the Ergo Foundation were just side by side and kind of representing the ecosystem and then showing what's possible in the ecosystem with Palmyra. Now we're gonna have Rosen, we're gonna have Palmyra, we're going to have Blitz with us. So we're gonna have this like nice showcase of projects. Yeah. Last time you had Foe, it would be great to have Foe there this time. I don't know. If hope Foe is okay and he's doing well. Yeah, but this time I think it's the diversity of the different projects and representatives, especially if we have the Sigmanauts there as well, because that's like a unique thing by itself, right? It's not a product, it's a community. So yeah, if we have that, I think it'll show people just how robust this ecosystem is. And I think it's very important. And I think it will bring more people into the ecosystem from other ecosystems besides Cardano, because there's going to be other ecosystems there this time. It's a cross-chain event.
All right, looks like the next question. If Ergo implements faster confirmations, as suggested by Kushti in his scaling forum post, how might that affect miners? Does it benefit them? Yeah, so it's important to clarify here, because some people are saying, oh, Ergo is going to have 20-second block times. That's not exactly accurate. It's 20-second confirmations. So when you're interacting with the chain, it will make your user experience more responsive to where, a transaction will be seen as confirmed. And so then on the user side, it'll, kind of show up. Now, there's a reason why, in that forum post, the initial wording or name that he gave it is weak blocks, right? Because proof of work actually is not set up to have fast finality just based on the function of Nakamoto consensus, right? And what that means is when you have a block, finality is kind of represented by the amount of energy that's added after the block, or a certain hash rate consensus, you could call it, where the majority of the hash rate, meaning all of the different block producers, kind of agree and produce, a linear chain of blocks. And, essentially the further down the chain you are, the greater your assumption of finality, right? This is not going to change, right? Rather, what you're going to do is you're going to have a kind of a weaker system of it's not really finality, it's confirmation, right? So it's confirming that the transaction is seen and is kind of loaded to be mined, so to speak, meaning put into a block. Now, what does that mean for miners? Blocks are still going to have 2-minute block times, right? And so the actual emission is not going to change. Now, one thing that is going to happen as a result of this vector in our roadmap is it opens the door to sidechain experiments, right? And when you get into the idea of sidechain experiments, then yeah, potentially you have more revenue for miners that's available. There's an ongoing kind of fight, debate, discussion, sometimes like screaming match in the Bitcoin community right now around BIP 300 and 301, which is what people would call roller chains. This opens the door to something similar on Ergo. Of course, it would be Ergo specific, but it kind of creates unique test environments. Sidechains are pretty unique in kind of their ability to bootstrap and test, perhaps it's new zero knowledge implementations, or there's a lot of ideas out there in terms of what new features or functionality those kind of experiments could have. And so it does open the door for additional revenue for miners long term.
Yeah, I think you covered that pretty well. I did see those questions.
Let's see. What else do we got in the question side? Could you provide an overview to Ergo smart contracts versus the EVM approach to smart contracts? Sure. So, in EVM, we get this idea of a virtual machine, right? Which is supposed to be some kind of Global computer, so they call it, where you upload some kind of logic and then the logic runs and things happen, right? And one of the downsides to that model is the cost of execution is not really known. Depends on how busy the entire network is, how congested the computer is. So your fees are very variable. Another big difference is this idea of a native asset versus like a smart contract based asset. I know that the last 24 hours, there was one of the biggest phishing attacks in the history of Ethereum, where I think someone lost, near $24 million because, well, somebody fished their wallet, I guess, and whoop, it's gone. That is kind of a broken thing in EVM that everybody just accepts. Like, oh, there's going to be collateral damage, which is strange, but it is what it is. Ergo's a very different setup. Number one, it's UTXO. So one nice thing about boxes is you can only execute change in a box with a signature rather than kind of these external calls that we see in EVM. So that type of reentrancy or hack for smart contracts or setting up some kind of phishing attacks on wallet doesn't really have the same attack vector, just based on how the contracts and boxes are modeled. Ergo's not about this global computer, right? Basically, if you look at how smart contracts work, is you create a series of microservices that are represented as like an abstract syntax tree. Basically, what that is it's kind of a roadmap of logic, right? And each step, depending on what the output is going to be, you can set multiple paths. So you could almost look at it as a series of microservices to where, microservice A occurs and, depending on, true or false, how it, what the outcome is, it will go to B. And then, from B, it could go to C or D, depending on what the outcome of that little microservice is. So those syntax trees are interpreted by the Sigma state interpreter. You kind of get into this idea of Ergo tree, which is kind of I guess it represents like a guard script, right? And what that kind of represents is you need to have the proper outcome in order to move to the next stage. It's kind of a protective mechanism where you need to verify, let's say, the outcome of each step in order to move to the next one. And so that really gives you a smaller I guess surface. It's interesting. Like in EVM, if you're going to create a program, you kind of need to do everything at once, upload it to this virtual machine and hope it works, right? Versus in Ergo scripts, you're basically creating a series of micro steps. And one of the benefits there is you can have a smaller attack surface and kind of more of a, I don't know, precision on each little step along the way. So I would say generally the attack surface is going to be smaller. Nice thing about it is the cost of execution is known before you start versus you run it on this global computer and God knows what the actual cost is going to be. Yeah, I think that it's a very different approach. And sadly, because Ethereum has this kind of network effect, people both call them smart contracts, right? And in a way, they're very different beasts. I don't know if like smart contracts would be the best description for how logic is formed and how it functions in extended UTXO. Maybe that's just a product of trying to teach it to the general public. But, under the hood, they're very different animals.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be, discriminating against different types of contracts. I mean, there's smart contracts or not so smart contracts. Some of them are some contracts are smarter than others, like our smart contracts. Yeah, it's actually the UTXO boxes and this and the boxes architecture is actually what also allows for a more, I guess, streamlined and robust tokenization and um, traceability utility that we use with Winter Protocol.
Yeah.
It allows you just to save more efficiently to create state changes, to more efficiently save information, different metadata
Hmm.
in the boxes. So, like for instance, what we do is we actually, well, I guess if you want, what's kind of interesting is we use several chains, right? So we're going to be using Cardano for the Oracle network. We're using Ergo for tokenization and traceability, but we're also using IPFS for actual data storage, so the long data storage, because it's inefficient to use the UTXO boxes for long data storage and for long metadata storage, right? It's just a clumsy way of doing it. So essentially all these interact between each other, right? So you got Cardano interacting with IPFS, you got Ergo interacting with the IPFS, and so by proxy you got Cardano interacting with Ergo through IPFS because data is being sent back and forth, but it's metadata, but no actual asset transfer happens, right? You just query data and you pull data in, you pull hashes in, right? So the IPFS hash is what's actually saved in the metadata of the Ergo NFT, and that hash is then referenced, and then you use that hash to retrieve information from IPFS. But you're not actually transferring assets between the different chains, so you reduce your attack vectors and your vulnerabilities greatly. But still, it is a cross-chain platform, but it's just not cross-chain asset. There's no cross-chain asset movement happening there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, the UTXO structure and the way the design is allows us to do this, allows us to create this type of solution.
It's something that I really think that we should refine as a community. Because I'll use the example. You know, People will say, "Oh, smart contracts," and they'll automatically have this assumption of like EVM based smart contracts. When really on Ergo, what you have is programmable boxes. And all the native tokens, everything is a box that can then be programmed. So I think that there probably needs to be some additional education there. Now it looks like we have another good question. Is this really the total number of nodes, or are most not port forwarding and not accounted for? I would say that this is one of those areas where we need to make the user experience simpler, right? If it's a port forwarding is something that you need to go into settings after setting up a node, most people won't do it. So I would assume that probably the best way to improve the number of nodes to actually reflect the number of people that are using Saturgo would be to throw a pop-up at them on install. Would you like to accept port forwarding? And I think you get a lot more people that will click yes if there's some sort of description of what that does and how it benefits the network, versus if it's a setting that they have to then go find. Because I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are lazy. Like they don't want to deal with that. They would rather kind of have the choice brought up for them rather than go and discover and make the choice. It just is what it is. So I don't think that that's an accurate number of nodes that are live. I think it's a accurate representation of people that wanted to do the extra work to open their port. But if you can make that less work, then generally people will participate more. It's kind of sad, but it is you know, kind of the nature of the beast sometimes when you're dealing with people that may be new to the technology or don't understand the benefits. So sometimes you might, you know, I would say with that type of software, like Saturgo would be a great example. Throw it right in their face when they install it.
All right. So
I've
we
got
got a couple.
I've got a really serious question for you here, Dan. Will the Sigmanauts have a WWE arena entry music at Las Vegas? And what is your intro song going to be?
That's that is actually the exact question I was about to ask. I was about to put up there. Exactly. I was literally, you stopped me from saying this exact thing. So yes, it will. And of course, the song for Sigmanauts entering the room is Balls to the Wall by Accept. Okay. Some of you might be too young for that. But anyway, it's a great song. Some of you might not be young enough for that, and you know that it's a great song. So Balls to the Wall. Look it up. That's the new Sigmanauts song. So yeah, that's happening. That's going on. So this FM, I guess, am I saying it right? This FM. You guys have some really creative
THZ.
names.
Terahertz. THZ.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hertz. Okay, so terahertz FM says that I can bring a sound system to the booth if we went powered audio. That might not be a bad idea, actually. If we're going to be doing maybe some presentations. So yeah, if you'd like to connect with us, and
you might get some serious speakers set up. Just
yeah, we can maybe like rock out. You know, QX can bring his guitar and he can serenade everybody with whatever he serenades everybody with. Yeah, we can definitely do that. We're also going to have video there. I'm going to have a camera there for some fireside chats. Actually, I still have fireside chats from last year that we never really edited, so maybe we'll put them all out at the same time, last year and this year.
Terahertz, the convention center parking lot, Renegade Rave. You know, we do have that as a general pattern where like you'll go to these conventions and you'll go to the Ergo booth, and a lot of their times the Ergo people are outside, like hanging out in the sun, and yeah, it just happens. It's a funny thing to see.
Yeah, hanging out in the sun, and yeah, I like how you put that. Hanging out in the sun, and yeah. That's right. We hang out in the sun, and then yeah, that's the Ergo way.
Have a good
All
time.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, so we got a quick question here. When gold on Palmyra? I saw that somewhere. So yeah, we are still working with the gold producer right now out of Thailand. So we actually have quite a few commodities that are or commodities and producers that are eager to onboard into the platform. So the thing here is that we are also being selective about the producers, right? So we don't want it to be like a huge swarm of 50,000 like tea producers. So we want to, we want to make sure that this is these are quality products, and of course that's why there is a KYB process involved in the producers on the producer side, well, as well as the buyer side. So yeah, so that's in the works, potentially silver. So scrap silver is also something that we're looking into putting on the platform. Durians is another industry that or another commodity that we're looking to put on the platform. If some of you are not familiar with the durian,
Stinky
it's
fruit.
what is it?
Stinky fruit.
Yeah, it has a very unique smell. And in fact, there's places in Thailand and other Southeast Asian countries that they actually have a sign that says no durian, because Sometimes the durian is eaten during, like, spectators sport and things, at arenas. Okay, so where you spectate. And so yeah, sometimes it says no durian because the stuff stinks so bad. Because I guess it kind of stinks like what, like sulfur, right? It's like sweet and sulfur. That's what it smells like.
It's a weird thing, man. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
yeah. I actually, so I have my durian story. It's really quick. I wasn't I used to go to Thailand quite a bit because I was dating my ex is Thai. And so I would go to Thailand several times a year. And so why, and I love Southeast Asian fruit, so the mangosteens and the lychees and all these different things that you find in Southeast Asia, these really great fruits. Um and so, like different watermelons, the yellow watermelon, the regular red watermelon. So a lot of really good fruit out there. And so, my ex, she got me all this fruit one time when I came to Thailand to visit her, and she got me all this fruit, and I don't know if it was the fruit or not, but I think maybe some of the fruit was spoiled or something because I just ate all of it so fast. I don't even know, what it was. And so then I never had durian until then. And so we went out to the market and she says, "Oh, you want to try a durian?" And so I said, "Okay, I want to try it." And so I ate the durian and it had that really, really strong, this like pungent smell of, it literally smells like, I mean, it really smells like sulfur. That's why it's so strong. It smells like sulfur and sweetness. So it's like this weird sweet sulfuric smell. And so right after I had the durian, I got incredibly sick. And I don't think it was the durian. I think it was something else that I ate before, but I got sick for about 3 days. I had stomach problems for 3 days. Whatever I ate, it was like I was stomach poisoning or whatever. And ever since then, just the thought of durian kind of gives me like feeling. 'Cause I just remember being so sick after it. Yeah, I remember for a while, I couldn't even be around durian. I'd smell durian for like, oh my god, it's durian. Oh no, I'm getting sick. Yeah, so unfortunately, that was my first and possibly last experience with durian. But yeah, if you guys can handle the hardcore smell of it, apparently it's quite popular. And
Delicacy
getting
for
back,
some, it's what it is.
yeah. And going back to what I was saying, it is very popular. It is actually one of the most lucrative produce industries in Southeast Asia. And so like multi billion. It's crazy how much money goes through the durian plantations. And so we will potentially have that also on Palmyra. So a nice diverse uh nice diverse portfolio of commodities coming to the Palmyra. And again, all tokenized and traced on Ergo. And a lot of them won't even know it, but they'll have it.
Well, it looks like QX has got to jump off soon, and he's our host. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah. That's gonna be. It's like, the host of the party is like, "Hey guys, I have to leave the house. So you got to take it somewhere else."
mm,
Right? It's kind of like that, right? It is kind of like that.
you know,
He invites you over for a party, and then he's like, "Yeah, guys, I forgot I have
hard
to run an errand."
stop.
So yeah, so everybody, why don't you go over to Dan's house? And then they end up in Dan's house and breaking Dan's shit, and just it's a vicious cycle. All right. Well, I think we covered quite a bit for this time. I think we can let QX off the hook
Yeah,
this time.
have a good one, everybody. We'll make the dev update. That'll come out Sunday. Have a good week. Hopefully, you join us next time. Drop some questions. Maybe learn a little bit. Hopefully, it's entertaining.
Yeah, and so once again, for those of you that are Cardano holders and are voting in Catalyst, don't forget to vote for the Zengate proposals because all of those proposals are either directly or indirectly related to Ergo. So we got the Rosen proposal in there. for securing the bridge infrastructure with SPOs. We have Winter Protocol, which is going to be basically a Cardano version of the traceability protocol on Ergo. And the ecosystem blueprint, which is basically going to be utilizing our experience with the tea producers, who are again going to be utilizing Ergo for tokenization and traceability. So again, yeah, don't forget to check it out. Go to Idea Scale, look up Zengate. You'll see the 3 proposals. And if you can vote, then vote for us, and we will highly appreciate it. And so, yeah, till next time. Yeah, this is Dan and Joe. What do you know? And so we will see you all next week.
Have a good one, everybody.